Imagine making over $1 million from a single neighborhood. Sounds impossible? For some housing developers, it's just another project. But here's the part almost nobody sees. One wrong decision can wipe out years of work before the first family even moves in. Every home you see hides an invisible business machine. It is buying land, raising millions in funding, managing construction, and
Some developers build fortunes, while others go bankrupt, even when they build the exact same houses. Why?
By the end of this video, you'll understand how a housing business really makes money, where the biggest risks hide, and why mastering this business.
Meet David. He's 34 years old, works in finance, and dreams of building homes instead of just buying one. But where does most people think builders make money by selling houses? That's only part of the story. The real business starts long before the first brick is laid. Every successful housing project follows 4 major steps: buy the right land, secure funding, build efficiently, and sell at the miss just one of these steps, and even a beautiful neighborhood can become a financial disaster. That's why timing matters as much as construction. So let's start where every housing empire begins. Not with a house, but with a single piece of land that almost everyone else ignored. David quickly learns that in real estate, land isn't just dirt. It's the foundation of every future dollar the project can earn. Two identical pieces of land can have completely different values. The difference is often what's built around them, not what's on them. Professional developers don't ask, "How cheap is this land?" They ask, "What could this location become 5 years from now?" That's why developers spend months researching. They study population growth and local jobs. They look at schools, transit, and future plans. Finding the right land is only the beginning. The next challenge is even bigger. Paying for a project that could cost millions before earning a single dollar. Buying the land is exciting, but now comes the hardest question. Where do you find millions of dollars to actually build the neighborhood? Most developers don't use their own money. They combine savings, bank loans, and investor funding to finance a project. Before approving a loan, banks study far more than the land. They want proof that the entire project can actually succeed. One weak financial plan, and the answer is simple: loan denied. That's why numbers matter just as much as construction skills. But when the numbers make sense, everything changes. Funding arrives, machines start moving, and an empty field begins its transformation. With funding secured, construction begins. Every dollar races against the clock, because every extra day adds new costs. The biggest expenses aren't always what people expect. Labor, materials, heavy equipment, permits, utilities, and interest. Now imagine lumber prices suddenly jump, or concrete becomes more expensive. Even a small increase can erase thousands, or even millions. That's why experienced developers negotiate prices early, lock in supplier contracts, and constantly monitor every expense before it becomes. But even the best budget can't control one thing: time. Because every delay keeps loans running and profits slipping away. Construction is only half the battle. A neighborhood becomes a successful business only when real buyers are willing to pay the right price. Price the homes too high, and buyers disappear. Price them too low, and years of hard work leave money on the table. That's why developers spend months studying local demand, household incomes, mortgage rates, and nearby home prices before setting a final price.
Many builders don't wait until construction is finished. They begin selling homes months in advance through something called pre-sales, helping reduce. But just when everything seems perfect, the economy changes. Mortgage rates begin rising, buyers slow down, and David faces a challenge.
David's homes haven't changed, the neighborhood hasn't changed, but suddenly buyers are disappearing. What happened? The answer isn't the houses, it's interest rates. Even a small increase can dramatically change what families can afford every month. Imagine 2 families earning exactly the same income. One buys when rates are low, the other waits until rates rise. The difference can add up. Experienced developers prepare for moments like this. They don't rely on hope. They build backup plans long before the market changes. Because in the housing business, success isn't about predicting the future perfectly. It's about being ready when the future surprises everyone.
Here's a mistake that fools many first-time developers. They see millions in home sales and assume that's pure profit. In reality, revenue.
Before David earns a single dollar in profit, every major expense must be paid first. The business always gets the bill before. That's why successful developers obsess over costs. Saving a little on dozens of decisions can protect far more profit than simply raising home prices. But here's another hidden cost almost nobody talks about. Carrying costs. Every month, an unsold home quietly keeps costing money. And that's why they celebrate a home sold quickly. Because faster sales mean lower costs and healthier profits. Now here's where the housing business gets really interesting. A company can show a profit on paper and still run out of cash. Why? Because profit is what you earn on paper, but cash flow is the money actually available to pay today's bills. Imagine you've sold 10 homes, but buyers won't complete their payments for another 60 days. Your workers and suppliers can't wait that long. That's why successful developers protect their cash flow with careful planning, emergency reserves, and realistic project schedules, not blind
And this leads to one of the biggest lessons in real estate. A business doesn't survive because it looks successful.
By now, David has learned something important. Building homes isn't the biggest risk. Putting all your money into one project is. Imagine if a recession hits. Buyers stop purchasing, banks tighten lending, and home prices begin falling. Suddenly, that's why experienced developers rarely depend on just one source of income. Some build apartments, others develop communities, manage rental properties. This strategy is called diversification. Instead of depending on one project, developers spread their risk. This makes the business more. But even diversification can't eliminate every risk. Because the next challenge doesn't come from the market. It comes from some. Every housing market moves in cycles. Nothing rises forever, and nothing stays down forever. The developers who understand that during an expansion, jobs grow, incomes rise, and more families begin searching for homes. Demand increases, and builders but success creates a new problem. As more developers rush into the market, land becomes more expensive, construction costs climb, and eventually, the market reaches its peak. Homes are selling, but buyers become more cautious, and growth begins slowing down. Even before the smartest developers don't panic when the market changes. They prepare long before the slowdown begins, because the biggest opportunity. Then it happens. The economy slows down. Headlines turn negative, buyers hesitate, and fear spreads fast.
As demand falls, completed homes stay on the market longer. Every unsold house quietly increases costs.
Some developers panic. They slash prices overnight just to generate quick cash. But desperate decisions can create even bigger long-term. David chooses a different approach. Instead of chasing every sale, he slows new construction, protects cash reserves, and waits for. History has shown that every housing slowdown eventually gives way to recovery. And when confidence returns, the developers who stayed. Today's housing business isn't driven by guesswork anymore. Before buying land, developers study data, not just their instincts.
Artificial intelligence can analyze thousands of market signals in seconds, helping developers spot patterns that would take humans weeks to.
But even the smartest technology can't replace good judgment. Data can suggest opportunities. People still make the final decisions. The best developers ask one simple question before every investment. Will people still want to live here 10 years from now? Because the most valuable housing projects don't just build homes. They help build communities where people genuinely want to live. David's first project is finally complete. Most beginners would celebrate, but experienced developers know this is actually where the. Instead of treating profit like a paycheck, many successful developers treat it like fuel. They reinvest it into the next. Over time, one project becomes 2, then 5, then 10. That's how many real estate companies grow, not through one massive win, but.
As the company grows, so do its responsibilities. More employees, larger loans, stricter regulations, and bigger financial decisions.
David no longer thinks like someone building houses. He thinks like the CEO of a business whose product just happens to be homes. And that the housing business is changing faster than ever. Tomorrow's most valuable homes won't just look modern, they'll actually think. Today's buyers aren't only comparing square footage anymore. They're also looking at energy efficiency, lower utility bills, and long-term operating. Developers are also using drones, 3D mapping, and digital construction software to reduce mistakes, save time, but technology is only a tool. The developers who succeed are still the ones who understand people, neighborhoods, and long-term value better than. Because at its core, The housing business has never really been about concrete or steel. It's about creating places where people build their lives. And even if you never build a single house, the economics behind this business can completely change the way you think about money.
Lesson number 1. Always buy with a long-term plan, not short-term emotions. Patience often outlasts panic.
Lesson number 2. Never underestimate cash flow. A high income means very little if your money disappears as quickly as it arrives. Lesson number 3. Every business prepares for difficult times. Emergency reserves create options when everyone else feels trapped.
Wealth isn't built by chasing quick wins. It's built by making smart decisions over many years.
Let's compare two developers who started with the exact same opportunity. Same city, same budget, and the same goal. But 5 years later, David focused on steady growth. Ryan chased rapid expansion, borrowing heavily to launch several projects at the same time. For a while, Ryan looked like the winner. More projects, more headlines, and faster growth. But rapid growth often hides growth. Then the market slowed. Sales dropped, lenders became cautious, and Ryan suddenly needed cash faster than new buyers were arriving. David faced the same slowdown. Because he managed debt carefully, his business stayed strong. Discipline often beats speed. Every successful developer eventually faces an important question. Should I keep every property or sell some of them and invest somewhere new? Some developers hold properties, collecting rental income. Others sell to free up capital. The choice depends on their goals and strategy. The strongest companies don't build wealth from a single project. They create systems that produce value year after year. Even when That's the difference between owning a job and owning a business. A job depends on your time. A well-managed business can continue. And that's how a simple housing project can grow into something much bigger. A business that creates homes, supports communities, provides jobs, and can... David understands the business. But most developers don't fail because they don't know how to build homes. They fail because they repeat a few expensive financial...
Mistake number 1, falling in love with a deal. Smart developers don't buy land because it feels exciting. They buy because the numbers make sense.
Mistake number 2, borrowing more than the business can comfortably handle. Debt can accelerate growth, but without careful planning, it can also multiply risk.
Mistake number 3, ignoring market signals. Successful developers pay attention to changing demand, financing costs, and
every project carries risk. The developers who last the longest are the ones who keep learning, adapting, and making disciplined decisions. Have you ever noticed that two neighborhoods built in the same year can end up with completely different futures? The buildings may look similar, but the secret isn't the houses, it's the surrounding ecosystem. Great schools, reliable transportation, local businesses, and nearby jobs. This creates a powerful cycle. People support businesses, businesses create jobs, and demand increases property values. That's why experienced developers don't just ask, "Can we build here?" They ask a much better question. Will people still want? And that's the biggest economic lesson of all. The most valuable housing businesses don't simply construct buildings. They help create. Even the best developers can't control everything. Sometimes, the biggest opportunities or the biggest risks come from decisions made.
Before a single foundation is poured, developers need approvals for zoning and permits. These steps take time, but they help.
Infrastructure can completely change a neighborhood. A new highway, train station, school, or hospital can make an area far more attractive. That's why experienced developers don't just study today's market. They also follow long-term city plans, transportation projects, and In the end, the most successful housing businesses manage risk and build communities designed to succeed, not just the next sales season. You don't have to own a housing company to think like a successful developer. The same principles can help almost anyone make smarter financial decisions. The first lesson is simple. Never make a big financial decision without understanding the numbers. Excitement fades, but the payments usually don't. Second, always leave yourself a financial safety margin. Whether you're running a company or managing your household, unexpected expenses are part.
Third, don't confuse growth with success. Bigger isn't always better. Sustainable growth almost always beats.
Remember, wealth is rarely built overnight. It's built through thousands of small, disciplined decisions. They create
When David looks back, he realizes something surprising. His biggest successes didn't come from taking biggest risks, they came from making the best decisions.
Every successful project followed the same formula. Study the opportunity, manage the risk, protect your cash, and think.
That's why the housing business is a lesson in economics. Every decision affects costs, demand, financing, timing, and ultimately, and maybe that's the biggest takeaway. Houses may be built with concrete and steel, but successful housing businesses are built with patience, discipline, and smart finance. When you drive past a new neighborhood, don't just see rows of houses. See years of planning and a vision, where people can build their future.
But here's the part most people never see. Long after the ribbon-cutting ceremony ends, the real impact is only beginning.
Every family moving into a new home creates a ripple effect. Local stores gain customers, schools welcome new students, housing is more than construction. It connects finance, jobs, and transportation, education, healthcare, and local businesses into.
Successful developers don't just think about the next sale. They think about the next decade. Value is created over time, not over.
So the next time someone says they're building houses, remember, they may actually be helping shape the future of an entire community. And think back to where this journey began. Just an empty piece of land, no roads, no homes, no families. It looked ordinary. Everything that followed started with one decision, backed by research, careful planning, and the courage to think years ahead instead. Whether you're building homes, starting a business, investing, or managing your own money, the same principle applies.
That's the hidden truth behind every successful housing business. It isn't built on luck. It's built on patience, preparation, smart.
And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. Wealth is decisions that shape not only your future, but the future of people around you.
At first, it looked like this story was about building houses. But by now, you've probably realized it was never really.
It was a story about solving problems before they become expensive, making careful decisions before taking action, and thinking years ahead. The world's strongest businesses are rarely built on perfect timing. They're built on consistent execution, disciplined financial decisions.
Whether your goal is buying your first home, starting a business, investing for retirement, or becoming smarter with money, the same principle.
Because in the end, it's measured by the building seeds you create. For yourself, your family that will exist long after you're gone. Look beyond the concrete. Every road, home, and park began as an idea, followed by thousands of planned decisions. The housing business teaches us something. It is far bigger than real estate. Great results come from making good decisions consistently.
If this story changed how you think about money or long-term success, imagine what learning one new financial idea every week could do over the next 10 years.
If you enjoyed learning money the simple way, subscribe and keep building your financial future. And if one idea from today's video surprised you, share.
Every thriving community started with one smart decision. And every strong financial future begins exactly the same way.